The colony world was quiet, but not with peace. It was the silence of fear. The sun above the planet was old, its light weak and red, as if even the sky had lost its strength. The streets of the broken city lay in ruins. Metal walls rusted, broken towers leaned like bones of giants, and dust moved with the wind. Few people lived here now. Most who could leave had already gone. Those who stayed whispered about the shadows that still walked among them. In those shadows, a young alien girl moved. Her skin had the pale tone of moonlight, and her large dark eyes seemed too big for her thin face. She never smiled. She never spoke. She carried no family name, no history, and no one who claimed her. She was an orphan, one who had learned to hide. The people of the colony said she was strange. They said she avoided touch, avoided voices, avoided everyone. When traders brought food, she came only after they had left. When strangers called to her, she froze like a small animal caught in the light. Then she vanished into the ruins again. Some said she was cursed. Others said she was broken in the mind. A few whispered something darker, that she had survived something terrible. Something she would not speak of. The girl herself did not argue. She could not. Her voice had been silent for so long she did not know if it would even come out anymore. Words were heavy for her. They carried memories, and memories hurt. So she stayed quiet. She would sit on high walls, knees pulled to her chest, and watch others from far away. Her large eyes followed the humans when they walked across the streets of the colony. The colony was not theirs originally, but now they lived here too. Their ships had landed many seasons ago, bringing tools, weapons, and strange hope. The humans were strong, louder than her people, and not afraid to fight the dangers beyond the city. The girl did not understand them. She feared them, yet she watched. The humans seemed different from the others she had known before. They helped when raiders attacked. They shared food with those who were starving. She saw a human give medicine to an alien child who was not even of his kind. That confused her. In her old life, no one helped unless they wanted something in return. But even with her quiet curiosity, she kept her distance. Her body would shake if one of them walked too close. Her chest would feel tight, her breath shallow. Fear ruled her every step, even when no one wanted to harm her. One evening, the sky burned red as the weak sun set behind the ruins. The girl hid inside a collapsed building, listening to the voices outside. The humans were near. She pressed herself against the wall, praying they would not see her. Then she heard it, the heavy sound of a landing ship. The ground trembled as its engines roared, then fell silent. Dust rose in the air. She peeked through a crack in the broken wall. A ship of silver and gray stood in the middle of the old colony square. Its ramp lowered with a hiss, steam spilling out like breath from a monster. Figures stepped out. Humans. Their boots hit the ground with weight. Their armor glowed faintly under the dim light. They carried supplies, crates, weapons, and they spoke in their strange, deep voices. The girl's heart pounded. She shrank further into her hiding place. New humans. More humans. What did they want here? The others in the colony watched from a distance, whispering. None dared come closer. The humans were powerful and their technology was sharp. Yet, unlike raiders, they did not spread fear with fire. They spread something else. Something the girl did not yet understand. Her eyes locked on one of them, a tall soldier who carried no weapon in his hands. His face was hard, yet his eyes seemed soft. He looked around, not with anger, but with patience. He spoke to the others in his team, and they nodded. The girl's breath shook. She could not explain it, but for the first time she did not feel only fear. She felt curiosity. And then, in that moment, the soldier turned his head. His gaze swept across the ruins and stopped on her. The girl's blood froze. She thought he would shout or call the others or point his weapon. Instead, he simply looked at her. His eyes held no threat, no cruelty, only calm. She trembled, pressing her body back against the wall, trying to vanish into the stone. When she looked again, he was gone. He had turned away as if deciding not to chase her, but something inside her had changed. She had been seen. Truly seen, and yet she was still safe. That night, as the old city grew darker, the girl could not sleep. The memory of those human eyes stayed in her thoughts. Why did he not call her out? Why did he not scare her away? Why did he look at her as if she mattered? She did not know yet that this was only the beginning. That soon something small, something unexpected, would come into her life, something that would break through her silence. But for now, She only lay in the ruins, awake under the red dying sky, with a mystery inside her heart and the humans, newly arrived, prepared for the days ahead. The red sun rose weakly over the broken colony, its light dim and tired. The city stirred, but only a little. People moved slowly through the ruins, carrying food, water, or scrap metal to trade. The air smelled of dust and smoke. Yet in all this noise, one figure moved like a shadow, silent, unnoticed unless someone looked very hard. The orphan girl. She lived between walls, under half-collapsed roofs, and in the cracks of forgotten buildings. To most, she was not even real. Just a whisper, a rumor. If someone caught a glimpse of her thin shape, she was gone the next moment, melting into the ruins. But she was real. Her body was fragile, her steps light. Every sound of boots or voices made her flinch. Every hand that reached too close made her heart hammer in her chest. She avoided everyone. Even when the colony gave out food, she waited until the line was empty before daring to take what little was left. Children sometimes tried to follow her, curious about the ghost girl, but she always escaped. She knew every broken street, every tunnel, every secret corner where no one could reach. Survival had taught her to disappear, yet hiding was not living. At night, when the colony grew quiet, she sat on the roof of a crumbling building and hugged her knees. Her large eyes watched the fires in the distance. Traders lit them to keep the darkness away. The girl sat in silence, staring at the stars. She wondered if her parents had once looked at those same stars before they were taken from her. Memories stabbed her heart like cold knives, a flash of screaming, the sound of weapons, the heat of fire, her own people turning away, calling her weak, broken, useless. She had run, she had hidden, and she had lived. But at what cost? Now, years later, she could no longer speak. Not because her voice was gone, but because her fear was stronger than any word she could form. Her silence was her shield. If she spoke, she would be seen. If she was seen, she would be hurt. That was what her mind told her again and again. Still, she could not stop watching. Every day she kept her distance but followed the humans with her eyes. They were different. They did not act like raiders. They did not act like her old clan either. They were louder, brighter. They laughed in the open, shared food without fear, worked together without betrayal. One time, she saw a human give half his meal to an alien child. Another time, she saw them lift heavy beams to rebuild a shelter, even when it was not their own. They were strange, these humans. Too strange. Why did they help others without demanding something back? Why did they not push the weak aside? The girl could not understand it. And yet, her eyes always returned to one face, the soldier who had seen her. She remembered the way his eyes had stopped on her, not with anger, not with cruelty, but with something else. Something she had not felt in a very long time. A kind of calm, a kind of patience. It frightened her more than violence because she did not know how to protect herself against it. What if kindness was a trap? So she stayed hidden. She ate scraps, drank from cracked water pipes, and curled into herself when the nightmares came. In her dreams, she ran again. Always running, always too small, too weak to fight. Waking up was no comfort. The emptiness of the ruins was just another kind of nightmare. And still she watched. One morning she crouched behind a broken wall while the humans trained in the square. Their shouts echoed as they moved together, sharp and strong. Weapons flashed in the light, but not toward her. Never toward her. She could not look away. Her chest ached. A small part of her longed to step closer, to see them without hiding. But her feet refused to move. Fear wrapped chains around her. Fear whispered, "If they touch you, you will break." The girl lowered her head and hugged herself tightly. Her breath came fast. She wished her parents were there. She wished she was not alone. But wishes were nothing in this world. Only silence kept her alive. From the shadows, she studied the humans again. They were so close yet so far. She wondered if they even knew she existed. Perhaps they thought she was a ghost too. But she was real. Her hunger was real. Her loneliness was real. Her fear was real. And though she did not know it yet, something else was coming. Something small, something alive, something warm. It would slip past her fear in a way no human ever could. For now, she remained the silent shadow of the colony, the lonely alien girl who spoke to no one. But destiny had already started to move. The first thread of change had been pulled, and soon her life of silence would collide with a sound she could not ignore, the sound of a puppy's cry. The day was gray, the sun weak behind heavy clouds. The colony square was quiet except for the voices of humans unloading crates from their ship. The sound of metal against stone echoed across the ruins. Children watched from a distance, curious but too shy to come closer. And from the shadows, the alien girl watched too, her thin body pressed against a broken pillar as her wide eyes followed the movements of the humans. She had watched them many times before, but this time was different. The soldier was there again, the one with calm eyes. He gave orders, his voice steady but not harsh. Others respected him. Even in silence, he seemed strong. The girl's chest tightened. She wanted to run, but her feet stayed still. Something about him pulled her gaze, then it happened. A faint whimper broke the air. Not the voice of a human, not the call of any alien, but the tiny cry of something small. She froze. From one of the crates, a little creature stumbled out. Its fur was soft, brown with patches of white. Its ears flopped as it wobbled forward on unsteady legs. A puppy. The humans laughed softly. One of them must have smuggled it aboard the ship, too stubborn to leave the animal behind. The soldier knelt, patting the ground, and the puppy barked once in reply. The girl's heart beat faster. She had never seen such a creature before. Small, harmless. Its tail wagged with joy, not fear. It did not hide. It did not tremble. It simply wanted to be near someone. She leaned closer without realizing it. Her breath caught in her throat. The puppy turned. Its dark eyes met hers. The girl panicked and ducked behind the wall. But the sound of paws came closer. Step by step, the puppy trotted toward her hiding place, sniffing curiously. "No," she whispered inside her mind. "Go back, don't come here." But the puppy did not listen. It pushed its nose through the gap in the wall and wagged its tail. The girl's hands shook. Every instinct told her to run, yet she could not move. The puppy whined softly, tilting its head. Something broke inside her silence. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she reached out. Her skin touched soft fur. Warmth spread through her hand. For the first time in years, she touched another living thing, and it did not hurt. The puppy licked her fingers. A tiny sound escaped her lips, almost a gasp, almost a laugh, though she had forgotten what laughter felt like. She pulled her hand back quickly, pressing it to her chest as if she had stolen something. But the puppy did not retreat. It stepped closer, squeezing through the gap until it stood in front of her. Small, innocent, alive. The soldier had seen everything. From where he stood, he did not move or call out. He only watched quietly as the orphan girl met the puppy. His eyes softened, and for the first time a small smile touched his lips. He gave no order to pull the puppy back. He made no move to scare the girl away. Instead, he turned and walked a few steps away, speaking to the other humans so they would not notice. It was as if he had decided to leave the moment untouched, fragile as glass. The girl sat frozen. The puppy barked once, then climbed clumsily into her lap. She stiffened, but when its warmth pressed against her, something inside her began to melt. She dared not speak, but inside her heart a name formed. Star. The puppy curled up and closed its eyes, trusting her completely. The girl stared at it in disbelief. She had no words, no breath. She had only silence, and yet in that silence something new was born. That night she did not hide alone. The puppy followed her through the ruins, its tail wagging even when the world around them was broken. She tried to send it back, but it refused. Wherever she went, it went too. For the first time in years, she felt less like a shadow. The puppy's small sounds filled the emptiness that had lived in her heart. She sat beneath the ruins of a tower, the puppy curled against her side. The stars shone faintly above the red sky. She whispered the name in her mind again. Star. She could not yet bring herself to speak it aloud, but for the first time since the tragedy of her past, she wanted to try. and somewhere nearby, unseen in the dark, the soldier stood watch. He knew the puppy had done something no human words could. It had broken through the silence of the lonely alien girl. The beginning of change had come, not with weapons, not with power, but with the small beating heart of a creature too simple to fear. The girl did not yet know what this gift would mean. She only knew that when she closed her eyes, she no longer felt completely alone. The ruins were not as silent anymore. Where once only the wind moved through broken towers, now small paws echoed across the stone. The puppy followed the orphan girl everywhere, wagging its tail like it carried a secret joy too big for its tiny body. At first, the girl resisted. She hid behind walls, slipped through narrow passages, climbed up half-collapsed roofs, but the puppy always found her. When she ducked into dark tunnels, it whined until she came out. When she tried to sleep alone, it pushed its warm body against her side, refusing to leave. For a long time, she didn't understand. Why would this small creature not fear her like the others? Why would it choose to stay with someone broken, silent, and unwanted? She gave it scraps of food. She shared drops of water from a rusted pipe. Each time the puppy licked her hand as if to say, "You are enough." At night, under the fading stars, she whispered its secret name, Star. The sound was barely a breath, but it was the first word she had spoken in years. Her throat burned, unused to voice, yet the word came again, Star, and each time she said it, her chest felt lighter. Days passed and the girl's steps changed. She no longer moved only in shadows. She dared to walk where light touched the ground, as long as the puppy was beside her. Its wagging tail gave her courage she did not know she still had. The humans noticed. Sometimes, as they worked in the colony square, they saw her at the edge of the ruins, standing still with the puppy in her arms. The people whispered. Some said the curse had lifted. Some said the humans had tamed her. But the soldier, the one with calm eyes, knew the truth. He did not approach. He did not speak. He only watched her from a distance, careful not to frighten her. He saw how the puppy changed her, how her eyes, once wide only with fear, now held something else, something like hope. One morning, the girl found herself sitting near the humans without realizing how close she had come. The puppy played in the dirt, chasing its tail, and she sat watching quietly. The humans glanced at her but did nothing. The soldier gave them a small sign to stay calm, and so they worked as if she wasn't there, letting her exist in their space without pressure. It was strange. She expected shouting, commands, or harsh words, but none came. She was left in peace, and the puppy ran between her and the soldiers without fear, as if it belonged to both worlds. Her heart was confused. Could humans truly accept someone who gave nothing in return? Could they let her simply be? That night, the girl lay awake. The puppy snored softly against her arm. For the first time in years, her mind was not filled only with fear. She remembered the warmth of fur, the kindness in human eyes, the laughter of the strange soldiers. Her thoughts argued with each other. They will betray you, one side whispered. They will hurt you like the others did. But another voice, softer yet stronger, replied, They have not. Not yet. Not once. She closed her eyes and held the puppy closer. The choice was not yet clear, but something deep inside her wanted to believe. The bond grew stronger. The puppy barked whenever danger neared. Once, when raiders passed close to the ruins, it growled until the girl hid in a safer place. Another time, when she wept silently from an old nightmare, it pawed at her chest until she held it, until her breathing slowed. She realized the puppy was not just her shadow. It was her protector, her anchor. The small heartbeat beside her own reminded her that she was not alone anymore. The humans began to notice her more often. They left food where she could reach it, clean water in small containers. Not once did they force her to thank them. Not once did they demand her presence. The soldier in particular seemed to understand. When their eyes met across the square, he gave her no order, no threat, only a nod. A simple, silent respect. Weeks passed, and the girl's silence began to crack. She whispered words to the puppy when no one else could hear. Little sounds, broken but real. Stay. Good. Star. Each word felt like lifting a heavy stone from her chest. Each sound reminded her that her voice was not gone. It had only been locked away by pain, and the humans were patient. They never pushed her to speak. They let the puppy lead her closer, step by step, until her fear was not as strong as before. The girl still hid in shadows when too many people gathered. She still froze when someone moved too fast near her. The wounds of her past had not vanished, but she was no longer only the silent ghost of the colony. She was the girl with the puppy, and though she did not yet know it, this bond would be tested soon. For shadows of her past still lingered beyond the ruined walls, waiting to return. But for now, she sat beneath the weak sun, her hand resting on soft fur, whispering a name into the quiet air. Star. And for the first time in a long time, the sound of her own voice did not scare her. The girl had begun to change. With the puppy Star at her side, she no longer lived only in shadows. She dared to step closer to light, closer to people, closer to the humans who worked in the colony square. Her silence had not broken fully, but whispers had begun to rise from her lips. Tiny words, fragile like glass, spoken only to the small creature who trusted her without fear. But even as the bond grew, something darker grew too. The past. It did not rest quietly. It woke at night, clawing into her dreams. One night, under the red glow of the dying sun, the girl slept in the ruins. The puppy curled against her chest, warm and safe, but her mind was far away, dragged into memories she had buried deep. She was back among her people. She saw the fire. She heard the screams, weapons flashing, raiders storming into the settlement. She saw her parents shouting, fighting, falling, blood, heat, smoke filling the air, her own voice, small and terrified, calling out. But no one answered. No one came for her. And then, worse than the raiders, worse than the fire, she heard the voices of her own people. She is useless. She is weak. She cannot fight. Leave her. Her chest burned as she remembered the moment they pushed her away. Their eyes were cold, their voices sharp. They had chosen survival, but in doing so, they had abandoned her. She had run. She had hidden. She had lived. But that survival came with chains. Chains of fear, heavy and unbroken. The girl woke with a scream caught in her throat. Her body shook violently, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Star barked sharply, climbing onto her chest and licking her face. His small weight pinned her to the present. His warmth pushed away the cold of memory. Slowly, her breathing steadied. Slowly, her hands unclenched. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She pressed her face into the puppy's fur, whispering the name over and over. Star. The word anchored her. But she could not escape the truth anymore. She was afraid because the past still lived inside her. And if shadows could return once, they could return again. The next day, the humans noticed the change. The girl's eyes were darker than before. She sat further back from the colony square, clutching the puppy tightly as if the world might tear it away from her. The soldier, the one with calm eyes, watched from afar. He recognized the look. It was not just fear of the present. It was the weight of memory. He did not approach. He did not speak. He simply remained nearby as if offering silent protection. The girl saw him once through the ruins. Their eyes met. She wanted to turn away, but something in his gaze stopped her. It was not pity, not anger, not command, it was understanding. Her heart pounded. Did he know? Could he see the truth of her past written on her face? She pulled Star closer, hiding in his fur. That night, the dreams returned. This time she saw herself as a child, standing in the ashes of her home. Alone. Broken. The whispers of her people still echoed. Weak. Useless, cursed, but then different through the smoke. She saw a shadow. Not raiders. Not her own kind. A tall figure in strange armor. A human, his eyes calm. His voice deep. You are not weak, the shadow said. She woke again, gasping. Star barked, pawing at her chest. Her trembling hands held him tight. The dream felt too real, too close. It mixed the past with the present until she could not tell the difference. The days that followed were heavy. She spoke less, even to Star. She hid more. She feared the humans might leave like everyone else had left her before. Her heart whispered that nothing good lasted, that even kindness was temporary, and yet she could not forget the soldier's eyes, the way he had let her be, the way he had not turned away. For the first time, the girl wondered if perhaps her past was not the end of her story. Perhaps something else was waiting just beyond the ruins of her fear. But shadows do not vanish easily. Far beyond the colony walls, whispers of raiders stirred again. Armed ships moved under the dying sun, searching for weak prey. The same kind of men who had burned her past now threatened to return. The girl did not know it yet. She only felt the tension in the air, the way the humans prepared more carefully, the way they patrolled further out each night. She sensed danger like a storm waiting to break. Her nightmares had returned for a reason. The shadows of her past were not only in her mind, they were coming back. That evening, she sat with Star on a crumbling rooftop staring at the horizon. She whispered his name again, clinging to the sound as if it were a shield. Star. The puppy wagged its tail and pressed against her. For a moment, the warmth of the bond silenced the cold of memory. For a moment, she could breathe, but deep inside she knew the truth. If the shadows returned, she could not hide forever, and one day soon she would have to choose, run as she always had, or face the fear that had ruled her life. The air grew heavier in the colony. The humans worked longer hours, their weapons never far from reach. Patrols doubled, guards stood at the gates, and even the strongest voices carried a low tension. Something was coming. The girl could feel it, though no one had spoken to her. Her instincts whispered what her heart already knew. The shadows of her past were near again. Star felt it too. At night he barked at empty streets, ears standing high. During the day he stayed closer to her side, never straying far even to chase his tail. His little body trembled sometimes, but his eyes stayed sharp. The girl's fear returned like a storm. She hid more, clutching Star tightly. She watched the humans prepare, yet told herself it was not her place to care. She was not one of them. She was a shadow, nothing more, and yet, when she looked at the soldier, the one with calm eyes, she saw something that unsettled her. He carried his weapons, yes, but his gaze remained steady. Not afraid. Not broken, ready. How could he stand so firm when fear pressed so heavy on everyone else? The night came without warning. The colony walls shook as alarms rang. Red lights flashed across the broken city. Shouts filled the air. Raiders! The girl's blood turned to ice. Through the ruins she saw ships descending, dark and sharp like predators. Raiders. The same kind who had burned her past. Their weapons flashed as they fired into the outskirts. The ground trembled. Screams rose, her chest closed tight. She wanted to run, to vanish into the ruins, to hide where no one could find her. But then, Star barked. The puppy wriggled from her arms, running toward the square. Toward danger, toward humans who were already raising their rifles and shouting orders. Star! She tried to call, but her voice cracked, barely a whisper. Her legs moved before she could think. She chased after him, fear choking her throat. Every sound of gunfire made her flinch, but she could not let him go. Not him, not the only warmth she had. The square erupted in chaos. Humans took cover behind crates, firing at the raiders pouring through the gates. Explosions lit the ruins. Smoke curled into the red night sky. Star darted between boots and rubble, barking wildly. And then, he stopped, cornered by falling debris. His small body shook, his bark turning to whimpers. The girl froze, terror crushing her. Memories returned in waves, fire, screams, abandonment. She felt her body collapse inside. Run, the fear whispered. Hide. Survive. But then she saw him. The soldier. He stood firm in the middle of the chaos, shouting commands, pulling others to safety. His eyes were steady even as bullets whistled past. He did not run. He did not break. Something inside her cracked. She looked at Star again. His small eyes begged her. His life depended on her, and for the first time her fear was not stronger than her heart. Her throat burned. Her chest shook. And then her voice burst out, Star. The sound was raw, broken, but loud. Louder than she thought possible. The humans turned, surprised. The soldier's head snapped toward her. The raiders heard too, their eyes flicking toward the sound. But in that moment she no longer cared, she ran. Her legs carried her forward past the rubble, past the humans, into the open fire. She grabbed Star in her arms, holding him against her chest. Bullets struck stone nearby. Sparks flew. She trembled, but she did not stop. She turned toward the humans, screaming again, her voice breaking. Behind. Ambush. The words tore from her throat like knives, but they carried across the square. The soldier spun instantly, raising his rifle. His team shifted with him, catching sight of raiders creeping through the smoke behind them. Shots rang out. Raiders fell. The ambush broke. The humans shouted to each other, rallying, their defense tightening. They pushed forward, driving the attackers back. The colony gates held, and all because of her voice. The girl collapsed to her knees, clutching Star tightly. Her breath came in shudders, her whole body shaking. She expected anger, scolding, punishment. Instead, a shadow fell over her. The soldier stood before her, his armor scarred from battle. He lowered his rifle, kneeling down until his eyes met hers. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke, his voice deep but gentle. "You saved us." Her eyes widened. She shook her head violently, unable to accept it. But he did not move away. He reached out, not to grab her, not to force her, but to rest his hand softly on Star's head. The puppy wagged its tail, licking his glove. The girl's chest swelled with something she had not felt in years. Not fear, not shame, pride. The battle ended before dawn. The raiders fled, their ships vanishing into the dying sky. The colony was wounded but alive. Humans worked through the night, tending to the injured, rebuilding what was broken. And the girl. She sat with Star in her lap, her body trembling but her heart different. She had spoken. She had acted. She had saved lives. For the first time, she did not feel like a ghost, she felt real. The night of the raid had passed, but its echoes remained. The colony smelled of smoke and metal. Walls were cracked, roofs broken, yet the people still moved with life. They were wounded but standing. And at the heart of it all, the humans worked tirelessly. They carried the injured, repaired defenses, and guarded the gates with sharp eyes. Among them sat the orphan girl. She had not run this time. She had not hidden. She had spoken. Her voice, small and broken, had warned the humans in time. Lives had been saved. The ambush had failed because of her. Now she sat in the ruins, clutching Star, her body trembling with exhaustion. She expected the old feelings to return. The shame, the whispers of useless, weak, cursed. But they did not come. Instead, the memory of the soldier's words lingered. "You saved us." Her lips parted. The phrase replayed again and again, warming her chest. She had never been told such words before. As dawn rose, the soldier approached her. His steps were steady, his face calm. The others glanced at the girl with curiosity, but none dared to disturb her. They had seen what she had done. He stopped a few feet away, kneeling so his eyes were level with hers. "You were brave," he said softly. The girl looked down, clutching Star tighter. She shook her head, her voice barely a whisper. "I was afraid," the soldier nodded. "So were we. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is when you act, even while afraid." The word settled deep inside her, heavier than any memory, stronger than any chain of fear. For the first time she understood. Being weak once did not mean being weak forever. The humans began to accept her presence openly. They left food near her spot not as charity, but as a gift. They spoke gently when she walked near, never forcing her to answer. Children pointed at Star with smiles, laughing when the puppy barked happily. And slowly, step by step, the girl began to stay closer. At first, she sat at the edges of their fires, silent and still. Star curled in her lap. Then she whispered short words when asked questions, soft, broken, but real. Each time she spoke, the soldier gave her a small nod, never rushing her, never demanding more. It was patience she had never known before. Days turned into weeks. The colony healed. The gates stood stronger. The people laughed again. Though the memory of the raid was not forgotten, the girl laughed too, soft at first, then brighter. Star chased her through the ruins, and for once she let her voice rise in joy. The sound surprised even her, and when the humans heard it, they did not mock. They smiled. The soldier watched quietly, pride hidden in his eyes. He had seen shadows in many wars, but rarely had he seen someone step out of them so completely. One evening, as the red sun dipped low, the soldier found her sitting on a wall with Star at her side. He joined her, placing his rifle down. For a while, they sat in silence, watching the horizon. Finally, he spoke. "You don't have to be alone anymore." The girl's chest tightened. She looked at him, then at the colony below. Humans and aliens worked together. Children played, fires burned warmly. Her old voice whispered inside her head, "They will leave you. They will betray you." But another voice, new and steady, rose stronger. "They stayed. They protected. They listened." She turned to the soldier. Her throat ached, but she forced the word out. "Family." His eyes softened. He reached out, not to force her, but to rest a hand gently on her shoulder. Yes, family, if you'll have us. Tears filled her eyes. She pressed her face into Star's fur, hiding her trembling smile. For so long she had been only a shadow. Now she had light. That night under the stars, the colony celebrated survival. Fires burned bright, voices sang, and laughter filled the ruins. The girl stood among them, not apart, not hidden. She stood with Star in her arms and the humans around her. She was still quiet, still fragile, but no longer broken. When the soldier raised his glass and spoke of hope, she lifted her voice too. Just one word, but strong enough to carry across the fire. Hope, the humans cheered. Not for the victory of battle, but for the small orphan who had found her courage. The girl would never forget her past. The shadows would always live in her memories. But she had learned something greater. The past did not have to rule the future. She was not weak. She was not useless. She was not cursed. She was alive. She was brave. She was family. And all of it began with a human who did not turn away, and a puppy who refused to leave her side.